Welcome back, and on today's video we're going to go over list pulling and skip tracing. So in the last couple of videos we went over picking your market, the market that you're going to wholesale in. Then we went over picking your marketing strategy, your marketing channel that's going to produce the lead flow so you can close deals. And then we went over CRM, where you're going to actually manage the conversations that you're having with these property owners. I mentioned you can't use old school methods. You have to get a software, right, to have and manage your relationships with those contacts. So you got to get a CRM. And now we're going to go over list pulling. So we're actually going to create a motivated seller list. So we're going to get a list of property owners, and then we're going to go and skip trace to find the phone numbers so then we can do our marketing channel. Okay, so let's head into this list pulling and skip tracing. So let's get in here. So what's a list? Right? In the context of wholesaling real estate, a list refers to a collection of property owners that meet specific criteria. This list can vary widely depending on the wholesaler's objectives and target market. So it's just saying that basically a list of property owners. And I'm going to show you an example, because that's better, right, than telling you guys. So common types of lists used in wholesaling include the absentee owner list, which is owners who don't live in the property. We got the probate list, which is property owners that passed away and now heir is inheriting the property. And now vacant, meaning that the house is vacant, there's no one living in the property, and so the seller might actually be, motivated to sell. Because when it comes to wholesaling real estate, we're trying to get properties below market value. And so we have to build these lists with certain criteria, right? As mentioned here, that meets certain criteria depending on the wholesaler's objectives and target market. And what is our objective? Our objective is to get properties at a discount. In order to get these properties at a discount, we need to be getting lists that are super juicy and motivated, where we know sellers have a pain point. And as you can see here, absentee owner list, right? The owners don't live in the property. Or two, the probate list. Someone passed away and now someone is going to inherit that house. We want to reach out to the heir, right? The person that's going to inherit the house. And then the vacant list, there's no one living in it, there's no tenant, and there's no seller living in there, it's vacant. And so that is a pain point, and we definitely want to be using this criteria when pulling a list. And then 4, the high equity list. This means that properties have equity. And if you don't know what equity means, it just means that the value of the house is here, and then the seller owns here. So they owe significantly below what the house is worth. And so they have equity, meaning that we can actually go in there, sell it to an investor who's going to make those upgrades to then get the full retail value. There's equity there for us to make a profit, for flipper to make renovations. And so that's why I like to throw it in here, because the high equity list is a massive list, and it's nice and big for you to just put it in the dialer and have your cold callers call or whatever the case. Because the high equity list is the biggest list. Where the absentee owner list, the probate, the vacant, those are very small lists, okay? That's not to say that you shouldn't get them all. You definitely should get them all. But I would start with like the absentee, the probate, the vacant, and high equity would be last, just because it's so big. You want to call the lists that are more motivated first, like the absentee, probate, and vacant, all right? So just want to explain that. So let's hop in here on what your list should look like. So I have a spreadsheet here. Let me open this up right here. Okay, cool. So this is what a list will look like. You're usually using Google Docs or Excel, and you have the first name of the owner, the last name, the property address, the property city, the state, the property zip code, the phone number, and then other phone numbers for that seller. And what you got to keep in mind is a list is usually just this. It just has the first name, the last name, the property address, the city, and the state. When you skip trace this list, that is when you will get the phone numbers. Some skip tracing providers give you up to even 7 numbers, and they give you an email as well. So this is what a list looks like. Yes, I have it blurred out because YouTube tends to take my videos down whenever I show phone numbers or addresses. So I'm just very careful with that. But that's what a list looks like. Now, if we go over here, this is what a realtor list looks like, because some of you guys want to work with realtors to get your wholesale deals without having to pay any marketing expense, and you basically just want to partner up with realtors. This is what you're going to need. You're going to need a list of realtors. And so I got this list from Dr. Bill Real Estate Agent. It's a weird website, right? Dr. Bill Real Estate Agent list. That's where I got this list from. And you can go ahead and purchase the list, but you don't have to, because Batch has come out with a new feature where they give you this agent list for free if you have a subscription with them. So the fastest way to get a list. So the fastest way to get a seller list is by Batch Leads. The link below to get 1,000 free records. And Deal Machine is a great one as well for driving for dollars. So this is the fastest way, right? Driving for dollars, Batch Leads. Driving for dollars actually allows you to get in your car, drive around town, and then whenever you see an ugly house, you pinpoint it in the Deal Machine application, and it'll write down the address, and it just makes it so easy for you. It like even tracks the route that you went, just so maybe next time you can go a different part of town, or you can, it just helps you track all the properties that you see along the way that might be a potential wholesale deal. So that's a good one, right? Now let's go over to PropStream. Now PropStream is overpriced. I really would not recommend PropStream like that. Probates, you can go to alltheleads.com to get some probates. So, and then agent list, you can get a list of agents in your market using Batch or the Dr. Bill Real Estate Agent list, which obviously Batch is going to give you that for if you have a subscription plan, whereas Dr. Bill is going to cost you a couple hundred, so Batch is way cheaper. Now let's get into this, okay? Because I want to actually show you guys how to get a list. But let me just double check. Okay, I'm just making sure that I covered everything. Okay, so let's go back to this slide here where we talked about the different types of lists, like the absentee, the probate, and the vacant, and the high equity. What I'm going to do now, guys, is we're actually going to pull a list. So we're going to go to batchleads.io because that's what I use to pull all my lists. But as I mentioned, you can use Batch Leads, you can use Deal Machine, and PropStream I would not recommend. It's super overpriced and there's better softwares out there. Probates, if you want a probate list, go to All the Leads. If you want an agent list, as I mentioned, go to Batch Leads. So let's hop into Batch Leads. So I'm going to log into my Batch Leads account. And now what I'm going to look at here is I am focusing on where it says property search. Now this is where we're going to create the list. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be using filters to make, we're going to use these filters to create motivation so our list is specific. Because if we just go here and do first we're going to put our market, right, like Fort Worth, Texas. If we just go to Fort Worth, Texas, we're going to see all the properties, right, available for Fort Worth, Texas, right? We're going to see all the houses, right? We don't want to market to every single house. We don't want to do that. We want to filter and make the list more motivated. Because remember, what's the goal? The goal is to get properties under contract below market value. And so we need sellers that are motivated, right? We cannot target everybody. We need sellers that are motivated. And so we're going to go in here to the filter, right? So first step, we put our market, which for this example, I'm going to do Fort Worth, Texas. And then we're going to go to the filter tab. Now in the filter tab, you can decide, right, if you're doing on market or off market. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get over here to quick filter. Now in quick filter, we can check off absentee, we can check off property vacant, absentee owner, right? Those are the ones, foreclosure. So we got all these. This is awesome. So let's start off with my favorite. So let's do absentee owner. First thing we'll do is check absentee owner. And now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll over here to where it says property characteristics. Now we're going to go to property types. Well, all classifications, residential, and then property types, we can do single family right here because we're looking for single families, right? We're not wholesaling multi-families or anything like that. We're strictly wholesaling single families, especially right now since we're newbies. We want to just make 10K real quick, be in and out. So we're focusing on single family. So all classifications, residential, single family, absentee owner, yes. Now we're gonna go over here. We don't really need to focus so much on the beds and baths or the square footage, but I would say for your build, we can do maximum 2017, just because I don't want it to be like a brand new house that they just bought like recently, and you know, they're probably no equity in there, so they wouldn't take a lowball offer anyway. So let's just do 2017, and then we're going to go to MLS status. We do not want it to be on the market, right? Because we want to get off-market properties, right? If we're going to be targeting sellers, that's the whole point, to get off-market properties, not to talk to the seller, talk to the realtor, right? We're not doing that. We're here. This is for the seller outreach, right? If you wanted to do agent outreach, go ahead, reach out to all those agents. But in this situation, we're focusing on the seller outreach. So let's hop in here. MLS, definitely not on the MLS. So no, not on the market. Cool. And then we're going to go to ownership information. Let's go to, okay, valuation and equity. So we do want there to be equity. We want minimum 40% of equity in the property. There's no maximum, right? Because we don't want to be like a max. That makes no sense. So 40 is the minimum percent of equity. Remember what the house is worth, and then the mortgage. There needs to be a gap, 40% at the minimum, because you want there to be space for the seller to even be able to accept this type of offer, right? Because we're offering, with the wholesale deal, we're offering a low ball cash offer. And so we gotta make sure, you know, it's very rare that the seller's gonna sell to us and then at the closing write a check for $30,000 because they still gotta pay off the mortgage, right? And our offer was way too low. Very rare that that's gonna happen. Like, it will not happen. So you need enough equity, so then when you make your offer, there's enough room for the seller to walk away with a little bit of something, and if there's a mortgage, to also get paid off. So that's why we need equity, at least 40%. And now we're gonna hop in here to the loan type. Doesn't really matter. Okay, cool. So what we have here, okay, so this is absentee owner. So right now we have 48,000 records. If you wanted to, you could go ahead, apply, and download the list. So then you have your list, because the next step is going to skip trace. So this is a pretty big number. 48,000 is going to be pretty expensive. So let's try to make it a little more juicy. So we got the location, residential, single family, less than 2017. Let's go over here to ownership information. Now let's add in here years of ownership, at least 6 years. Apply. Cool, there we go. We got 29,000 properties. Awesome. Now, if this is good enough for you, because you know 29,000, that's still a lot. You can definitely go ahead and take this list and now put in your dialer. Well, take the list, skip trace it, and put in your dialer. But if you want to make it a little bit more smaller, you definitely can. So let's go ahead and now add another filter. So let's go in here. And we can even take absentee owner out and now do property vacant. Apply. That's a really nice, motivated, and small list that you can afford. As you can see, this list basically is a single family. The year built is less than 2017. It's not on the market. The seller has owned the property for more than 6 years. The equity is at least 40% or greater, and the property is vacant. So this is a nice list. You can definitely, this is a vacant list right here. You can click apply. And then what you can do if you want to take the list now, you can go over here, because you got to make it into a CSV format. We would go here and we would select, okay, cool, let's go here. We could do select. You would save it into where it would go into your My List here, and you would be able then to filter for whatever name you put for that list. So you can name it vacant 2024, and then you can come in here and you can look for that list that you just saved. You would then apply filters, and boom, then you'd be able to see that entire list that we basically just created. You would come over here and do action, export to Excel, okay? Now, once you've exported the list, now you have your Excel. So it should look a little bit something like this, with the first name, last name, property address, property city, property state. It should only have up to here. Okay, that's all you're gonna have once you get your list. The next step is now the skip tracing, where we're gonna go ahead and get the numbers. Okay, so let's hop back in here into the fastest way to get a list. We just went over batch leads. You can use those filters to create a vacant list, a high equity list, people that have owned the house for more than 6 years. So definitely you can use those filters to make a really motivated list so you can get a $10,000 wholesale deal. So batch leads, highly recommend it. If you check the link below, you get 10,000 free records. Then Deal Machine as well, that's another one. They have the driving for dollar tool, and they also allow you to pull the list and then skip trace it for free. So link below if you want to check that out. And then PropStream, super overpriced, would not use it. And then probates, you got, you can use all the leads. So let's hop in here to all the leads. So if you wanted to get a probate list, here it is. And just to give you guys a heads up, a probate list is pretty expensive, costs a couple like $200-300 per month, so you can get the most accurate probate list every single month. And they go and they pull directly from the county. So you guys can go to all the leads if you want to get a probate list. But I know all the leads for sure, they go straight to the county, they pull it themselves, or you can even go to the county yourself and pull it, right? I'm just giving you guys tools to make your life easier, because I'm not going to go down to the county. I'll just pay the $300 and get the list every month. Okay, so this is all the leads. Now let's hop back into the PowerPoint. Okay, cool. Awesome. So agent outreach, as I mentioned several times, if you want an agent outreach list, if you want an agent list so you can do your agent outreach, then you can go to Patch Leads. They have an agent list there for you to get for free, not purchase. It's included with the subscription plan. So that's it. This is the fastest way to get a list. And yes, these are services require a subscription. Let's head over to the free list methods. Okay, so a free way to get a list is Driving for Dollars. You can get the Driving for Dollars app, or you can just go on Google. It'll be much harder, but you can actually still do it like manually. Basically, you're driving around for dollars. You're driving around looking for ugly houses, and every time you see an ugly house, you write it down and you create that list manually. If you don't want to do it manually, you're gonna have to get the Deal Machine app, so it does it for you. Every time you're like, okay, this location here, this location, it starts to create a list for you of the first name, the last name, and the address of the person, and then you have your list. Then you can take that list, and the next step is to skip trace. Okay, because right now we're talking about building a list. Once we have our list, then we can go ahead and skip trace it. So Driving for Dollars is a great way to come up with a free list, but you do have to be local, obviously, to drive around town and collect all the information of the ugly houses by using the Deal Machine app or manually writing it on a notepad or whatever. So this is one way to get a free list. Now another way, which is really, really cool, and I'm going to show you right now, is you can actually use AI to write an email to request government lists. Right, so you can actually write an email to request a fire damage list to the county in Nashville using the FOIA Act. So this is just an example. You want to request this list in your market. So wherever you are, Nashville, Fort Worth, wherever your market is, you want to reach out to the county, send them an email, and you want to request the fire damage, the code violation, and the tax delinquent list. ChatGPT, we're going to come over here, and we're going to type, write an email to request fire damage list to the county in Nashville, right? Wherever you're at, you want to put your market in here, correct? Like put your market right here. This example, we're going to do Nashville, and then we're going to do FOIA. Is that how it's spelled? Let me hit back over here. Yeah, that's how it's spelled. Okay, cool. So we're going to do that. Cool. So it's writing an email that you can then send out to the county to get lists that you need, right? You're going to have to send separate emails. One is for the fire damage, right? Sending it to the fire department. One is for the county clerk, trying to get probates. And then the other, the water shutoff, you want to send to the utility department. It is the email. Subject, request for damage list under the FOIA Act. Dear county officer's name, I hope this email finds you well. I'm requesting access to the list of fire damage occurred with county name, specifically in Nashville for the period of As a concerned citizen, I believe this information is crucial for understanding the extent of fire-related incidents in our community. Under the provisions of the Freedom Act, FOIA, I'm requesting access to the following information: date and time of each fire incident, location and address of the fire incident, cause of the fire, time and date, the location and address. You don't need all this. You just need the top three, right? The date and the time the fire happened, the location, the address. You can create your list, because then when we skip trace, we'll get their number and we'll just call them up. Cool. I understand some details may be sensitive, yada, yada, yada. But we mentioned the FOIA Act, that we, Freedom of Information Act, we're legally able to ask for this information. So you'll send this out to get those free lists from the government, basically. Okay? So that's one way to get a free list. And yeah, that's pretty much it, right? So what did we just go over? We went over what a list should look like. We also went over, realtor lists if you're trying to do that. But then we went the fastest way to get a seller list. We mentioned batch leads, deal machine, PropStream is way too overpriced. And if you want probate leads, all the leads. If you want the agent list, you can get it from batch. Now, if you want a free list of sellers, of course, you're going to do the drawing for dollars or send a letter to the county to get the fire damage, the code violations, tag delinquency. You can send this out. You just have to find the correct department and send them an email. Cool. So now we're going over skip tracing. So once we have our list, we just pulled our list from PropStream. What we're going to do is we're going to skip trace. So skip tracing is a method used by real estate wholesalers to locate property owners or individuals associated with properties that they are interested in purchasing. This process involves gathering information such as phone numbers, email addresses, and other contact details of the property owners or relevant parties. So essentially, we're getting their phone number and their email so we can call them and ask them if they want to sell the house. Now, how to skip trace a list? Now, I'm just going to tell you straight up, batch leads is 97% accurate in my experience, and it's always going to help you find the tough to find sellers, and it removes litigators. So if you want to skip trace a list, you can do it through batch leads. They're going to give you the phone numbers and the the phone numbers and the emails for that seller so you can contact about the property. 2, True People Search. This is free, but it is 70% accurate, and so you are going to be talking to a lot of wrong numbers. And then Deal Machine, and check the link below, guys, for free skip tracing. Yes, they give you the driving for dollar tool, and they give you free skip tracing, which is really, really cool. So batch leads, it's the best data out there, 97% accurate. It's a little bit expensive, maybe like 9 cents per record. So it does get a little expensive, but True People Search is free. And then Deal Machine is, you can upload a list and you can get free skip tracing. It's not as accurate as batch, but it is definitely better than True People Search. So batch leads, definitely you can get a list from there and you can skip trace it. You can also get batch leads and Deal Machine, which would be really powerful, because then you're taking batch leads to do your property information, to find comps and stuff like that, which we'll go over. And then Deal Machine is your tool to create a list, but you can also skip trace from them, or you can take the list from Deal Machine and then skip trace on batch. Totally up to you, but these are my top skip tracing providers, okay? Batch leads and Deal Machine, and then I just threw in the free one, which is True People Search. Okay, so let's hop into batch leads. So once you got your list on batch leads, what you would do is you would go to skip trace. What you would go and do is you do import. You'll drop your Excel file. Remember it's just the list that you have. Once you go here to file, you download, you get basically a CSV file. You can then upload that right in here. Click next, map out all the information, drop the CSV file in there. And now we're going to do something called mapping. Now this mapping, you have to do this with any provider. You upload your CSV file, right? You upload your list, and then you're going to map out the name, the last name, the address, the city, the state. And you're going to click submit. You're going to pay for it. And then in a couple minutes, it's going to give you your list. It's going to give you back the list with the phone numbers, the address, the email, everything. So you can contact the property owner and, do your marketing. So this one is taking a little bit long, but let's just It's a really small list. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Actually, this is actually, never mind. This is like very big list. Look how big this list is, guys. Okay, 47,000 property owners on this list. Now this is already skip trace. That's why you see phone numbers. But I'm just putting it in here to get skip trace as an example. So as you can see, batch already mapped out the field. First name, last name, address, city, state, zip. Obviously, we're not going to map out the phone because that's what we're trying to get. And then we'll click next. And now it's going to tell me how much it's going to cost. You'll just press skip trace. Once you've skip traced it, in a couple minutes, it'll tell you when it has sent it out to its database to collect numbers. And then it'll give you a new CSV file. But this time it's going to have the first name, property address, city, state, and the phone numbers. So you can then, cold call the list, which is going to be on the next video. Cool. So we just went over how to skip trace a list. If you want to check out True People Search, this is free. You just go to truepeoplesearch.com and you'll easily be able to put an address and it'll give you a phone number that they think is a property owner. And then Deal Machine is the same process as batch. You upload the CSV file and then in a couple minutes you'll get the phone numbers. The list will be skip traced. So click the links below to get discounts on these softwares. And now things to keep in mind about skip tracing. If you cheap out, you will likely be talking to wrong numbers and waste. If you're confused, just go with batch. If it's a little too pricey for you, go with Deal Machine. So let's just recap real quick on what is the steps. What is the task I need you guys to do for this video? So I need you guys to get a list, okay? So if you have money, great, go to batch, get a list. It's free to get the list and then skip trace the list. You can create your own list by going, as I mentioned, you can form a list by driving for dollars, or you can reach out to the county to get the fire damage, code violation, tax delinquency list. And then once you have your list, the next step is just to go ahead and skip trace it, which is where you're going to get the property owner's phone numbers, because in the next video, we're going to take our list, upload it into our dialer. We're going to set up our dialer, map it all out, and we're going to start cold calling.